Hallelujah to the only true and wise King, triumphant in majesty, omniscient in might, glorious in great strength. He is the master creator of all, and he has everything under control. Hallelujah, hallelujah. You know, before I got started, I'm going to drink a little bit more tea to rinse my mouth and you know what I'm eating today, ladies' fennel. So I can trim my mouth. And then today, what I want to talk to you all about is there was someone that came on one of my questions, and they said, EMA, we're having issues with a lot of inflammation. What do we do? Well, I just want to reiterate that one thing. Not all cholesterol is bad. Your body, your brain needs a certain amount of cholesterol in order to function correctly. So I wanted to bring that out. But we're going to be talking about some things today. We're going to go about how to maintain what you learn and to add a little bit more. So every day, every time we come online, we're going to be adding a little bit more to your arsenal. Exactly. So today we're going to be adding a few more things to the arsenal. First, shout out to my babies in Toledo, Ohio. Your EMA, thank you. Your Mima loves you, and I think you're wonderful. Mwah. My love, my love, my love. My family in Texas, your Mima thinks you're wonderful. Your Nana loves you. Hallelujah. Washington, you got it rocking, baby. Mississippi, shout out to Alabama. Alabama, Mississippi. I'm so happy you came to visit us. New Jersey on this past weekend. It was wonderful on Shabbat. We learned a lot from brother and teacher, Daniel Solomon. We learned so much of the class on Shabbat. It was awesome as he teaches even the more for us. And then we get more enlightenment. And you know what? I love that scripture that talks about in Ephesians 1:15 through 23. The eyes of our understanding be enlightened, that we know what is the hope of our calling and master. Ephesians 1:15 through 23. And Ephesians 3:15 through 21, I say these prayers in the mornings. And Colossians 1:9 through 13. Because I want the Father to open my eyes that I see, that no longer am I blind. I don't want to be blind. I'm mind blinded anymore. I don't want to be a foolish woman. I want to be one that's wise, one that's called out for this time and this season. I don't know about you, but that's my desire. I want to be aware when he says, I want to hear his voice. Know his voice, and a stranger I'll not follow. I don't want to follow the strangers of the deceiver, the trickster, the seducer. So that's my prayer every day. Family, how about you? Ladies, I praise the Master because he gives us the oil of gladness. And one of the ways that we're talking about is, I forgot, shout out to all of US, in my Midwest and all around about it. I love you guys. Thank you for tuning in. Before I get started, let everyone know EMA Barbs Health Corner is live and we are well. We are experiencing the presence of the Most High in his infinite wisdom. What to do, how to get it done, and walk as he would have us to walk, in wisdom, knowledge, and understanding in his truth. No longer my eyes are blind, no longer deceived, no longer following this trickster, but we're following the voice of the Most High. That's our aim, that's our mission, to be good soldiers. I know we're not supposed to, I know in my teachings in the past, I was looking at a word, and it was in Greek, I think it was. It says gymnazo, exercise yourself unto righteousness. But I know we're not looking at the Greek side, we're looking at Hebrew. And it says exercising yourself unto righteousness, unto holiness, unto uprightness. And that's what we're supposed to be doing, exercising unto righteousness in the following the Most High. I'm getting Tobias a little bit nervous, a little bit, I can tell, when I talk about and so that's what we're doing. We're exercising ourselves unto righteousness. And how do we do that? Following his laws, his dictates, his commandments, his statutes. Amen? So, today, family, ladies, let's put on our helmet of salvation and keep it on, maintaining that we have eyes to see with excellence, accuracy, skill, and efficiency, both spiritually and physically, and both near and far. Wise women of this time and century. I'm talking my generation, and I'm also talking to the ones that are beneath my generation. All women should have that mind of Yeshua HaMashiach, our Savior. Now, to business. My babies, shout out to my babies, my baby, I know he's over 12 now, because it's been last year, and he was saying he was listening to me every year. To my babies who are 12, under 12, those that are listening to me, and go back and tell mommy, I learned something today. EMA Barbs Health Corner, the class, talked about how to maintain healing. So today, family, we're going to talk about, you all already know one of the things that I'm going to say. Alkaline. That's the biggie, the biggie. Keep maintaining health through alkaline. Now, let me say this really quickly. To those who say, EMA, I do my baking soda at night. For those who say, EMA, I do my cayenne pepper tea. To those who say, well, I can't get with that, EMA, but what are some of the herbs that we can do that are alkaline? There are many alkaline foods and vegetables and spices. Keep your body alkaline. We're going to talk about that. How to maintain that alkalinity in your body. But there's one thing I want to say, and someone asked me, what do you consider alkaline? Now, family, I'm going to say something, and you can go back and check me out on this, but there's certain parts of the body that have different types of alkalinity. Your skin has a certain amount of alkalinity in it, and more acid on the outside than it does for the inside. And there's a certain pH balance or balance on the outside. And I'll tell you the reason why I'm saying this, because you don't want to under-alkaline your body, but you want to maintain a certain alkalinity. And the reason why I'm saying, because the skin has a certain amount of acid. The reason why the skin has a certain amount of acid in it, because on the outside, it has to fight bacteria from coming into the cells. And you want to keep that body rejuvenated. Your digestive system has a certain pH balance. And you want to maintain your blood pH balance of somewhere between 7, which is 7 and up to 7.4. That's the blood. And when you put other toxins in there and you're trying to push it out, and I'm going to say this, let me say this real quickly. I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. And EMAs can step on people's toes, I know. And so now today I'm going to be your auntie, your grandmama, your mama. So listen, for those who know me as Auntie EMA, I'll be your Auntie EMA. For those who say Auntie EMA, I'm your auntie, I'm your big sister, for those around my age. So I'm going to say something. Family, we know that the dietary laws, but we also know the dietary system, how they treat us here in the U.S. Not all herbs are created equal. We also know that with all the toxins in the air and all the things that they're doing around us, how can we fight? One of the things I want to tell you, for those who smoke, don't get angry at me. Listen to me in love, because I mean it in love. What they say, I'm coming to you, white flag, I'm coming to you in peace, in shalom. You cannot do your cigarette smoke. Let me say this to you. I have a relative, and I was telling this to Bai the other day. I have a cousin, but they treat me like an auntie because I'm much older than they are. So my baby came to the house one day, and she said, Titi, my babies, we can't shake this cold, we can't shake this cough, what can we do, what should we do? And I gave her, and then they know they can't smoke in the house. So she was feeling wonderful in the house, and she says, oh, I feel much better, and I gave the baby something, and it cleared it up in less than 15 minutes, and they were no longer, nose stopped running, and they started pushing all these toxins out, the greenery. leave it like that, the greenery out of their nose, and they start coughing it out. And they were feeling wonderful. Before long, when they came in the door, I have a set of nephews, great nephews, and they're twins. And when they ran out the door, when they came in, they were like, they were about 2 at the time, about just turning 2. And they were like, they were all whining about their mom. But by the time I gave them this tea, they were jubilant. And they kept coughing, and as they were coughing, and nose was running. She said, all of a sudden their noses were running. I said, it's all good. And she said, they're feeling really, really good. All of a sudden they haven't been this jubilant all day, TT. I said, good job. I said, so I showed her what I had, and I gave her all this, and even for her and my nephew. And I said, this is what I want you all to do. So she did it, and they drank it, and they were feeling wonderful. Within 20 minutes, like I said, 15 minutes, I'd say between 10 and 20 minutes, the babies were draining, and all this mucus was coming out, and they were blowing, so I gave them a roll of paper towels, and they were going through. So all this to say that, and when she got home, they're smokers. And I gave her 2 different types of tea. So she said, EMA, she said, TT, I don't know why. When I was at your house, I was feeling wonderful, and now I drink the tea, and I take the tea, but yet I don't feel the same way. And I said, in the mornings, how are you doing that? And she said, well, I get up and I do my tea, and I smoke my cigarette. Wait, hold up, hold 1 minute. She said, what did I do wrong? TT, I always smoke. That's the problem. You're putting more toxins in faster than you are pushing them out. So it's not the tea, it's the fact that you're putting more out there, putting more toxins in than you are pushing them out. And she says, what? She said, oh, I got a habit. I got a bad habit. And now, listen to this. I can talk about my family because it's me. And what they gonna do to me? Nothing. So I told you this story for this reason. And she was like, but every morning I feel okay. And then later on, I said, now, how do you smoke? This is just her. And she says, well, I at least smoke 2 or 3, at least the first hour that I'm getting up, because it helps me wake up. I love you too much. Your TT thinks you're wonderful. I think you're just better than sliced, and my thing is, and they know me for saying this, I love you just better than, you're the greatest invention besides sliced bread. When they started slicing the bread, you are in that group. Sliced bread, by the way, I don't eat bread anymore. But anyway, well, certain breads I don't eat anymore. I make it myself. But anyway, that's a story for another time. And so she says, oh, besides sliced bread, TT, that is one of them. They always know that. So I said, now, one thing I got to stop you from doing, if at all possible, and don't blame it on the teas, don't blame it on anything, but you're putting more toxins into, those cigarettes have more than 200 different types of cancers in it than anything. She's like, my mama used to smoke, I know. My daddy, I know. What can we do? We got to work on something. We have to work on taking those cigarettes away. And she said, well, such and such is so smoke and drink and do their herbs too. Thank you.
Sometimes they catch up with you, some people catch up with them.
That's right. That's exactly right. Your bodies are not the same. And because your bodies are not the same, you were given certain vaccines. Our vaccines are not. So, and I'm from the era family where they tattooed me when they gave me a vaccine, so I still got that little thing on my arm where the mark is still there showing where you were vaccinated. I'm in the 50s, where they gave the vaccine in the 50s, 1950s. And so I still got that little thing on it. I know you're not supposed to tell everything, but for you, family. And I pray that others that are not supposed to be on this channel, they're not listening to this. But I'm from that era. So the vaccines have changed, and we also know that now that they have different chemicals and things that destroy our inner cells. You have to know that. So when you do that, it's even worse on you guys. So be aware of that. So we're going to talk today. We're going to talk. I need you to work on, and next week I'll bring you some information on some herbs that help pull make you not feel like you want to smoke. Burdock is one of those. Chickweed is one of those, where it takes the taste for a cigarette out of your mind and consciousness, out of your body. The next thing I want to tell you guys, we want to maintain our healing when we do. So we want to make sure the processed foods, and I was telling someone this recently, family, and I'm not blabbering or going on, these are some things I'm just saying for your ears. A lot of these foods that our forefathers, when we came here, we automatically knew that certain foods that were created for us kept us in the servitude. So in the earlier years, they would only give the good, healthy foods when they found out about Africa and all of these herbs that we have and all that, because when they were other places, they ate white potatoes and all that kind of thing that were empty, plants that were empty of nutrients, vitamins, natural resources for our bodies that brought healing. So they understood this, the kings and nobles and all that. When they began to eat better, they began to act a certain way. So when you feed toxins into the the people who do the service and not the leaders, you have it works on your mentality. It works on the brain to make you think you're less than, or you cannot do, or you're not better than, or even equal to. Now this is something, this is the subconscious area. But the food, the empty minerals, nothing in the food, your processed foods, your toxins give you that where you can't, and since we know, and I hope you all follow me, when they took, it's the same way as when they took the food out of the inner cities. You have deserts, food deserts. But they say it's not they still give you certain foods, but they give you processed foods and not the minerals. So it's empty minerals where you cannot get it. So it goes against the body where your body can't rest. It can't exercise, it can't do, you have to go and get the proper food, the proper minerals, the proper macro minerals, macronutrients in order to produce. So, one of the things, and I want to say this to one of my babies, she said, EMA, she has dealing with lupus, HIV, all of those things. This is what they told her. But here's the thing, you can work to get these things out of your body, but don't, just as fast as you pull it out, the toxins out of your body, don't put more in it. Because we have to work on it every day. It's an everyday thing, just like you go to work, just like you breathe. There's some things I have to do for my body. There's some things I have to maintain when you take a bath. You have to maintain that. When you take a bath, those that are dealing with arthritis and things like that, I want you to start looking at Epsom salt. We spoke on that last week. Epsom salt. Add Epsom salt to your bath water. Putting nutrients in your bath water. If you can at all possible, add nutrients to pull those toxins out and push more minerals in. As you're teaching yourself and your brain and your being to not crave processed foods, You have to teach and train, just like your body is a child. You teach a child, we're not going to eat that candy because, give you an example. When our son was growing up, my aunt was a baker. My aunt, as a baker, she would want to, when our son would go to her, visit her, she would undoubtedly want to give him cookies and cake and candies. And she knew I said no. This is what she would do. She would tell him, and I can talk about her now because she's not on earth anymore in the body, so I can talk. So she would
I ain't gonna say that's to the dead, anybody can say don't speak ill of the dead.
don't speak ill of the dead. But there's nothing evil because she already knew what the deal was. So she would wait and she would say, and she would call him Booby. Booby, your auntie got something for you. And he said, woo! And I remember one day they thought I was gone. I walked out the door and it was a little bitty something. It must have been a 5 or 6. And he says, woo! And he was so excited that she had something for him. And I left and I remembered I had something and I left it and I was supposed to come back and get it. And I came in the door, I didn't even knock, I used to just walk in the door, and I walked in the door, and she was like, I baked you some cookies just for you. We got chocolate chip, we got oatmeal, we got macadamia, and I mean, she was naming it out. And that she had baked for him, and she had also given to her children, but she set some aside for him, because she knew he was coming over. And I remember he said to her, my mommy says that sugar is bad for the body. And they both did not see me because they had, they were so into each other. And she said, and my cousin was there. My cousin said, what did he say? And our son said, my mommy said the sugar's not good for you. And he had little glasses on, and he had it down on his nose. And he was just so cute, had his little fro and all that. And he says, my mommy says that candy sugar is not good for you. She said, but I will tell her. My baby said, my mommy said, I can't have it, but when she comes back, can I ask her if I can have it? Ever since then, she called him a professor. It's Mr. Professor. And it kind of tilted her a little bit. And when she came in, she said, what did you tell that baby? And her children said, I'll eat it. I'll eat it. He doesn't have to. I'll eat it. And they went from there, but he wouldn't touch it. And when I got back, he went to say, Mommy, can I have, and my aunt said, come here, baby. Come and give your auntie a hug before you leave. And he told me in the car, Mommy, they said I could have cookies and it wouldn't hurt me. But he already knew what he was programmed on the inside, is that the sugar will deplete your body of its natural resources. And that's what I want to tell my babies, my little ones who are watching me now, and tell your mommies and your daddies. I know you're watching, and your EMA is so proud of you. See, sugar is just like cocaine. It will hook you and try to keep you longer than what you want to be kept, and keep you away from what you're supposed to have. So that was my story. Question, and we're gonna finish it.
Yes, ma'am. Sister Tricia.
Blessings, Tricia.
She asks, I wonder if EMA
Yeah.
knows what herbs we grow in our garden that help lung health.
That help what?
That help lung health.
Lung health?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Tricia, I'm so happy you're into the class. Welcome into the class today, and I'm so happy you're here with me. I love you too much. Thank you for allowing me to come into your heart. Yes, in our garden, we are growing thyme. We have 2 different types of thymes. And one, well, I'm not going to tell you about the other, but we have lemon thyme and we have regular thyme. And its thyme is good for your lungs, It's good for your respiratory. It's good for your body. The next one is eucalyptus. You can get eucalyptus leaves. And as a matter of fact, there are times when I put eucalyptus in my hair, and along with rosemary, and it helps the lungs and after you breathe, and it pushes out toxins as well. Eucalyptus. You can, those are good that you can grow. That's good for your lungs and for your respiratory. Another one you could use is burdock. Burdock, you know, it's something because burdock is really good for a lot of stuff. Chicory is good for a lot of stuff. And then, so therefore you can use that. And did you know, let me say this to you. Anise is an antiseptic, which we talked about. It's an antiseptic, but it also helps to open the lungs. Another thing is blessed thistle. Blessed thistle. Blessed thistle. Blessed thistle is one of those natural, it's good for the brain, but it also brings air and circulation, oxygen back into the body, which actually goes into the lungs. So those are just a few, I might say, that are good for the body, the respiratory. This just a few. You can use lemon and, you can use oranges or red oranges. You can use orange, because guess what? They used to use, when they found out how good citrus is, in other countries they use the citrus, which is oranges, lemons, limes, right on down the line, your citrus fruits. You can do that, and that's good. You can use it as an oil, as a matter of fact, and it opens up the passages. You know, another thing is mullein, and I haven't spoken a lot about mullein in a long time. Mullein is really good, and it opens, Mullein is an herb, and it's a cute little herb. I bet y'all say, EMA, you say mullein all the time. Different plants are different cute little plants. That's true, you know. I hate because they're cute. But there's a good little, and what it does is good for the respiratory, and it opens the lungs, it opens up your respiratory, and it's good for coughing, and it's good for sore throat. All of that, and that's good for the lungs and the respiratory area. So you have different herbs, and as a matter of fact, what I'll do, and I'll put a post in there, so a whole list of different types of herbs that are good for it. But those are just a few that you can plant and put in your garden, which is what we do. We put a little bit. Rosemary is a good respiratory. You can inhale it, and when you inhale it, it goes into the lungs, and it cleanses the lungs and the respiratory system. So you can do that, fam. And those are things that you can grow. And there's something that we planted, and we're planting more. We have, they're called moringa trees. You know, you can do the moringa powder and the moringa trees. You can plant it, and it's really good. And papaya, don't forget papaya, but you can't grow those. But anyway, a story for another time, and I'll put a list on there for you, so you'll know some of the things that we're growing in our garden that's good for the respiratory. Question.
Yes, Sister ECH.
Hi.
She says, what about pure tea tree oil? Tea tree.
Tea tree oil, you know what?
She didn't say oil, she said pure tea tree oil.
The tea tree oil is excellent for the respiratory. As a matter of fact, I keep that down here in a little jar, and I think one of the other classes, I showed you how I put them on a cotton ball, but you know, it's not something that you grow, not in if you're in the Midwest, it's something you need more, you need to order it or whatever, and you can't grow it in our area. But those are some oils, exactly, blessings baby, thank you. But those are not something you can grow here in our zone, but you can get that. Tea tree oil is excellent. And what we do down here, if you want to just put it on a cotton ball, you can put it on tea tree oil. I put tea tree oil, and we keep it here for those that are having little issues from time to time. And they say, "Ooh!" I see my teachers, and I leave it in a jar with tea tree oil, eucalyptus, rosemary, and I'll put. You okay? And I put those, just a few oils in there. And one of the main oils is tea tree oil, and it helps with the respiratory, it helps the lungs, it heals, it's a healer, and right on down the line. I know one thing, the Dr. Sebi does not recommend peppermint, But spearmint and peppermint, that's what at one time he didn't. And he didn't recommend, at one time he didn't recommend peppermint, but I find out that I like the peppermint and all that. So I put that in our jar, and you can open your sinuses up with that, and it's good for the respiratory system. Those are just a few things. Question.
How do you spell the mullein?
Muellin.
Muellin.
Let me look at it, and I'll look at it to make sure. It's mullein is Muellin. Or is it Mullein? I think it's this one. Mullein, mullein. So it's that. It's this one. Give me this one. It's this one. Mullein. And let me see. Yeah. That's okay. You're good. A lot of people do that. I got it in my notes. And you might want to do that. That's one of the ones. And for my babies that said that she wanted to look at my notes, we'll talk about that on another episode about looking through my notes. And so much so Tobias is teaching me how to put my notes on this thing where I can go in and look at, but every so often I can get it to work so I can type it in. Sometimes Tobias know about my iPad.
Right. We worked it out, man.
We worked it out, family. And you know what? Before long, I'm going to be just as fast as you all are. All praise to the Most High. And a lot of people use this mullein. It's a cute little plant. And it's really cute. And it's good for whooping coughs, flus. It's an antiviral, antibacterial. And it goes into the body and it cleanses out the intercellular part of the lungs and the respiratory, the bronchitis area, the bronchial areas. And it's good for that. And even if people have tonsils, before I get to this, even when people have issues with their tonsils, it's good for that because it's good for coughing. In the days where they didn't have the issues with the whooping cough, because you know how they do, they pull the nutrients out of the different things that we're supposed to eat. But anyway, it's time for another story. But before that, they would use, in other countries, they use, I think they have mullein in places like Mexico and stuff like that. But anyway, time for another story. But they would use that for whooping cough. When the children come up, they would have whooping coughs. I saw something in the inner city, and they said, you need to be vaccinated against whooping coughs and all this. And I was like, and I prayed over my people, Father, don't let them get vaccine for this. Only thing they need is just mullein and work it out. Do a little tea, make a little tea, boil it. It doesn't take long to boil. Let it set for 24 hours after you put it over boiling water, and you can let it set for a while.
What's the vaccine on the mind? Do you use these same herbs and minerals or whatnot to fight against the vaccine if you were forced vaccinated?
You know what, that was another question came to me about how would I do it?
Did you see the video that Jake was showing how they forced vaccination on the brother and on their pregnancies?
Yeah, I saw that. And first of all, I want to give a shout out to Brother Jacob for the great work that he's doing, letting us be aware of these. And I give praise for him for that, to the Most High, for him, for opening these doors that we can understand and we can see what they're doing so that we can be prepared, that we have our shield of faith up. But during that time, there are some herbs that we can, and this is what we're talking about, and we're going to be talking about this for a couple classes that I'm going to be sharing with you about how once that you are vaccinated and with these things, what we can use to pull some of these toxins out of our bodies and how to prepare our bodies. One of the things that I would recommend, and this is really one thing I want you to know before I get on my call, and listen to this. Did you know mullein is good for fevers and all this stuff? But anyway, listen to this. When we fast, the Bible tells us about fasting and praying.
Yes, ma'am.
We know that our help is in it says our help is in the name of Yahuwah Elohim, in the name of the Lord. Our help, and what's the Elohim, Yahuwah Elohim? our help is in the name of our Yahuwah Elohim. How does that scripture go? When you find it, it says our help is in the name of the Lord. And when we call upon the name of the Most High, when we call for help, when we cry out, Psalms 96 talks about crying out to the one who created us and made us in his image. Other scriptures, and you all know the different scriptures where it says there's help when we call upon him.
Right.
He hears us. We are the children of his pastor. We
Well,
are.
Psalm 34 says what you were just talking about. I know that was what I'm talking as far as when you cry, he hears your prayer.
He hears our cry. And when we're forced to take these things, when we fast and we pray, go ahead.
There's Psalms 34:17 that says, the righteous cry,
That's it.
and the Lord heareth,
Yes.
and deliver them out of all their trouble. That's Psalms 34:17.
Psalms 34:17. When we fast, family, and there's a way when we can fast, when we set our faces toward the Master and fast and pray, water pushes the toxin. The Father will heal us. Hear us and heal us. When I say, I was trying to see, what did I hear with that, the quote or whatever, but I think it's, yes.
Or then you had Psalms 124 verse 8, which says, what you was asking about, our help is in the name of the Lord.
That's it.
Who made heaven and earth.
That's it.
That was Psalms 124 in verse 8.
Psalms 24 and 8.
124.
See, we hear, we call out, and he's our Father, and he hears us. His ears are open to us when we call out and cry out to him. He's not a God that we can cry that does not have ears, that does not hear. He's not that kind of a.
So basically what you're saying, that's what you take in that case.
In that case,
Okay.
cry out to the Master.
That's right.
Cry out to the Redeemer and fast
That's right.
and pray. Fast and pray.
That's right.
The scripture talks about fasting and praying. When something is done against our will, against the will of the Most High and against the laws, the Father will hear and answer.
That's right.
He will hear and answer. So when we fast and pray, that's what happens. And when we ask, as we pray, you know, I like one scripture talks about no weapon formed against us shall prosper.
That's right.
And he says, because of the Master, we can run through troops and leap over walls. What did they used to do in the old days? They were so healthy and so vibrant and so that they would literally do those things. But this is what we can do: fast and pray. And when we fast and pray and turning to the Master, he heals. He's more than able to heal and deliver. And then family, once that you've done that, then eat the foods that bring electricity and life to your body. There are foods called electric foods. What? Electric foods, yeah. That brings electricity, that brings healing and health to our bodies. So once that you fasted and prayed, and there are certain foods that you can take that's good for the colon, for the digestive, that just heals the cells, the inner parts of the cells, and then brings life and brings it back to restoration. The Father can do that. I have a woman that one time, and I'm not calling her name so she can't say that I'm putting her business out there. She was like, EMA, I was into this thing, and I had someone else, but she said when I asked the Father to cleanse me, and I want to be married, and I want to be just like as if I was never had a man before, and I want to give it as a gift to my husband. She said, I prayed, I fasted, and I asked the Father. She said, and he made it so, literally, so that my body was ready for my spouse. It was just like, and she said, I had a new Heimlich. What? She said, I did just like a woman that had never had a man. This is just a miracle of what can happen when you fast and when you pray and ask the Father for divine, and that you want to give yourself as a gift. Now, if the Father, if you want to give yourself as a gift to your spouse, And the Father hears that and answers that. What much more can he do when you ask him than they vaccinated you and put this in your system, in your body, and the Father can renew you like the eagle. He's a mighty king. We cannot limit him. We cannot limit the Father. So I want to shout out again to Brother Jacob. Thank you for putting that information out there to us and how the Father can heal. Let me tell you, there's some things that bring healing. One of the women asked me the other day, and she said, EMA, what about HIV and all that? There's some things, the Father put things like out here like for us that are like black seed. And they made it out of an oil, which is good. And what it does for the body, black seed, if you take it for, as is recommended and right for our bodies, it can push out toxins and heal the body to a certain way.
Black seed or black seed oil?
Black seed oil, because they processed it in a certain way that is no longer, well, get it, you have to get it, make sure it's pure. Black seed oil, and I do both. I do black seed and black seed oil. And it pushes, it renews the cells. Different herbs like that, different seeds will rejuvenate the body and push out all those toxins. But you have to be consistent with it. You have to be consistent with it. You have to be determined. I am healed. It goes and take away the stress and anxiety. Family, when we talked about bathing, since you said that, let me tell you this, and I didn't mean to go this way, I meant to go another way, but however, you helped me to teach this class. And it's because of you that this class is going on. So you can detox. I know we talked last week about detoxing the body. Epsom salt is a mineral. It's magnesium. When you start painting, it's something as simple as taking that magnesium and rubbing it into the joint because it's missing magnesium. Something as easy as soaking the body at night. Please be consistent when you're doing these detoxifying baths, when you're doing the different salts that are necessary. Remember we mentioned at one time that there were different types of salts. If you look at one of the classes prior, before, I think last year, we talked about certain salts that you can do. Did you know the different salts, tea tree oils that you can inhale and it cleanses, different salts. And we're going to talk about some different other salts this year as well. The salts, that what it does to the body and how it strengthens the muscles and how it brings healing and lubrication to the body. You can do that, a comfrey, different other things, and we're going to talk about those things as well on this coming class. You all have to tell me what you like for this class, in our classes, to be talked about. And when you bring those things up, put it in the chat, in the chat, and let me know. EMA, we want to talk about this week. We want to talk about this. When you, let me go back. When you put certain salts in your bath water, you're pulling these toxins out, but you have to renew it with other minerals like nettle. Nettle is out. It's one of the wonderful things that we want to add to our when we drink. Make it as a soup. Like I said before, we're going to start adding nettle to one of the teas we're going to make this week. We're going to implement that coming up, and we're going to be bringing it into the classes. And more of the nettle soups, broths. We're going to be implementing that brings minerals back to the body. Nettle is a beast and more. When you're going to put nettle back into the body and it heals the body and brings life back to your cells. We're going to be talking about these different things and how it brings healing and wholeness. So when you're detoxifying, family, detoxifying, not putting the toxins back in your body. Let me say this to you. Some people say, EMA, all I can afford is certain things. I can do a little bit at a time. Do what you can afford. Licorice root is good. For those that are having issues with tightness in their chest and right on down the line, hawthorn berries. Hawthorn berries is one of those things but you have to do a drop. Do a drop. You can put a drop underneath your tongue and it loosens the body. and it loosens the muscles in the heart, and it brings oxygen. Bringing oxygen into the body is one of those things that, like we said, minerals that will bring these different, such as black seed oil brings oxygen back. Blessed thistle will bring things back to the circulation. How it brings circulation? Turmeric, ginger, garlic. You said, but EMA, I can't alkaline. Guess what? Cucumber water is an alkaline. Cucumbers are alkaline. You can put some cucumber, and so it's parsley. And you can put parsley, cucumber, and lemon or lime, and or both. And you can sip on that. Did you know cayenne pepper is an alkaline? It's an alkalinity. It's alkaline. Did you know, I'm just saying some of the things that you can put back into the body to alkaline the body once you come across these things. You want to pull these toxins out, but you want to put minerals back in there at the same time. Just so many things, family, that you can do for your body. And we're going to be adding different things. I'm going to be putting up on the posters and things like that. We already said thyme you can grow. As we said before, we grew lemon thyme and different other, and another type of thyme. And we grow it in our backyard. Things like I was telling you all about, like probiotics, but a majority of your probiotics are alkaline. When we were talking about over here, we were talking about cumin. And do you know coriander is one of those seeds we're planting coriander, and all it is the coriander is a pretty name for what we call cilantro. But it's the seed. And we grow cilantro and parsley. And the cilantro is in the scriptures, and it's talked about that, along with curry. Curry is one of those wonderful things, just like turmeric. One of those wonderful types of herbs and spices, and once it's broken down, same way as flax, you have to break down, or we use flax seed, but I'll make it powder, and I'll sprinkle, don't tell mister, but I sprinkle it over his food. So from time to time, he'll say, well, what is that little chicory type of earthy type? And say, oh, it's all good, don't worry about it, I got you. And a little flaxseed and put it in there, and just different things like that. So family, remember when you're fasting, if you happen to fast, it's sometimes I'll fast depending on what time. I'll do once a day, once a week, or either just once or twice a month, and that's to make sure that my body is, because sometimes your body will say, sometimes your body will say,
I want sugar.
I want sugar. You know what that is? Those are those parasites that are craving and saying, I want to grow. I got some babies in here, and I want you all to be the host. I want to feed my babies. And they got your body, come on, demanding what they want from your body. Parasites, no way. When they say, I want some sugar, or they'll use white flour. And you know white flour goes straight to be a sugar, carbs. It'll go straight to the make sugar. Or you have certain that you call foods, and you'll say, I just want a taste of potato chips, or I have a taste of this, or I want some flour, or some corn, or all this, and it goes straight and it makes sugar, and it helps, and it allows that parasite to make your body the host of its babies. Have you ever? I was talking to one lady, and she was saying, well, my son, I give him certain foods, and at night when he's going to bed, he says his bottom itches, and it feels like little worms. Oh, I forgot to say this. So what you do with that, family, in the mornings, make sure, or at night, before your babies go, give them ginger during the day. It kills parasites. You can give them ginger. You can give them a little turmeric, a little cinnamon in their oatmeal, and different things like that. And we're going to be talking about that. And I'll remember to put that in the post for you too. Question.
Sister Leon.
Hey, baby love.
She asks, how do you use the ground turmeric?
Ground turmeric? Okay, sometimes we have, you mean the powdered turmeric? Is it powdered? So when you say ground,
I'm just making a way to question this question.
Okay.
So she
Yeah, the powdered turmeric, sometimes we buy the turmeric itself, but sometimes we do as a powder. If you're doing it as a powder, you can put it in your, a little about a third of tea. I have a little tea that I make from time to time. And what I'll do is put, in the mornings, a lot of times, more times than not, I'll mix in about a third of a teaspoon in hot water of ginger, and then I'll put a third of a teaspoon of turmeric in it. And then I'll put a little lemon. Lately, I've been doing lemon and or lime. I love the lime because the lime is another alkaline, and it's more alkaline than the acid, which is a good thing. But and then I'll put a little honey in it, and that's a nice little drink you can drink. And children, my grandbabies, when I go to visit them, shout out to in Texas, your Nana, think you're wonderful. And a lot of times they love that. They call it ginger tea, and they love it. But be careful, if you're going to give them the tea, it's going to stain. It stains clothes. So if you give them a little bit more, so be watchful, make it warm so they'll just drink it because they love the idea. And what it does, it gets rid of the parasites out of the body. It helps push the parasites out. Because in an alkaline body, the parasites cannot stay in an alkaline body. You understand? And then too, the mucus cannot stand because it's pushing the mucus out. And therefore you have twofold. You're pushing because parasites stay around mucus. Better word for it. And so you're pushing it out, and they really love it. And when you give it to them in the morning, it gives them energy. Plus, it alkalines the body and pushes out toxins, and it does the same way for us, even as children. So you can give them that. At night, what I do from time for Mister, I'll make a little almond milk, and I'll heat up the almond milk really nice and hot. And so you can drink it, and I put, again, half of it, a third of a teaspoon of turmeric, third of a teaspoon of ginger, and I'll do that and put a little cinnamon. The cinnamon is an alkaline as well, and so it pushes those toxins out, and when you're pushing the toxins out, it's pushing the worms out as well. So you have to, and to understand this, fam, you have more than one different type of parasites. You have some, like my grandmother, some people had, and you, those that are my generation, you'll know that they used to talk about pinworms, or those worms that make a circle. And you see those little circle ringworms. And there are different worms, there are different types of parasites in your body.
So you see people that had that ring
in the back of their head. That's an infection, and those worms, parasites, is what you call them. And so you have to be careful with those things as well. So it helps push out certain parasites out of your body. Ginger, garlic, from time to time, at least 3 times a week, I'll have Mr. do garlic in his garlic. You remember one of the episodes I told you about how he does the garlic and throw it back as a peel and drink it down. Chase it with a lemon water. So you can do that. These are things that you might want to make sure that you have it in your arsenal, family. Also, you know, you can do the thyme. And let me say this, while I'm thinking about it, part of our club family, when I say part of our club, I got to give a report to the class here too. Bring that so they have that and keep this around. Part of our club is not only good for a lot of other, I think that I have it up there. Nope. I'm going to bring in a list of some of the things that part of our club does for the body. Part of our club is one of those things that kill for cancer. It's an anti-cancer, antibacterial, antiviral, and it also gets rid of not just parasites, but it boosts the immune system as well. It's good for HIV and AIDS. Part of our club does. So you want to make sure those are some things you want to have, and it's just dry and it's real simple. But once you put a certain amount of tablespoon of part of our gonna make a little tea, and then you strain it, you put it in boiling water, let it sit in there, cover it until it cools off. But if you use just 1 cup, you can't just use it all the time because it's gonna be like a shot. So just do sip on it a little bit, put a little honey, and a little bit of however way you want to sweeten it or however way you want to taste it. Normally it's a whole. I add hard article and rose hip with mine, and just do it to taste. You can put a little lime in it, and I'm one that loves citrus, so I'll add a little orange or orange and different citruses. So that's one way of doing it. There's one that we do, and I'll tell you about this at another time. So remind me, family, to tell you about this one, where we have different types of oranges, and what different types that look like oranges. They're called palmettos. Let me write it down. Palmettos, and what they do, what it is, you'll see something that looks like an orange, and you think, oh, it's the size of a grapefruit, but it's not a grapefruit. It's the palmettos, and I bring them to the class from time to time and let them. They're as a snack. I haven't brought them this year yet, but this is just May. So I'll bring those and I'll put them in as a snack. It's mellows, and that's just what it is. It's just it's a thick. It looks like an orange, but the peel is real thick. It's real thick, and you can take those and you can chew on those, and those get rid of. You can eat them like potato chips, or like if you want a little snack or whatever. And it also gets rid of the parasites as well, because it goes to the digestive system. Children love it. You can just put it in, they eat them, and it pushes out those parasites as well. So it also helps the digestive system, and it's citrus. So it's one of those good things that that you can try. Let me make sure I'm spelling this correctly. And I want to be right for you guys. Yeah, P-E-M. No, I was wrong. I thought so. I was wrong. P-O-M-E-L-O. One M. Mellows. And babies, let me tell you this. That's one of the ways I got our babies to eat. And also, let me say this to you. It's also good for the heart, and it's also good if you want to lose weight. But it's an antibacterial, antifungal. Did I spell that right? P-O-M-E-L-O.
Second.
P-O-M-E-L-O.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And they look like a big fruit, but they eat the inside of the fruit. But it's also they do more. The more nutrients in it is the peel.
Is it green or
It can be red. It's green on the outside. It can be green on the outside. It's like orange. The flesh itself is orange or pink. Let me see.
to the side so you can see it better?
Turn to the side. And I'll tell you a little bit. Yeah, that's it. That's it. That's it. It could be, it's some are, and the green ones are like a lime-looking flesh on the inside, but the outside is green. So they come in different flavors, in different colors. But basically, you get the green. When you get the green, and it has sometimes it has the orange or pinkish flesh. And then there's one that has the flesh is outside the green. And sometimes you do the orange or the other way around. So, but these are like, when I say I love citrus, these are one of the citrus, and you can eat the flesh and you dry it out and all that, but it's an antibacterial antifungal. And some people in other countries use them for cancer. And it gets into the cell walls, and it pushes, and it gets rid of the cancer. And it's a long story. We'll talk about that on another day too. And I'll put some of the information, and I'll keep this so that I can remind myself to talk about these different citrus. Do you know, question.
Sister Princess J.
Hey, Princess J.
She says, Shalom, me, my boy.
Shalom, love.
If you are a diabetic and you have neuropathy and are also on a low sodium diet, can you still do a soap and Epsom salt?
If I have that information, but before I get that out there to you,
I want to make sure that I'm pronouncing this right. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Mom.
Neuropathy.
But it's Neuropathy.
Nerve
Is
system.
that neuropathy?
Neuropathy,
Okay.
yeah. You know what? I want to say yes. I want to say you can, but let me do some more investigation on that. Because I know you can use sea salt. And sea salt helps neuropathy. But I want to make sure before I tell you yes or no, as far as Epsom salt is concerned, I know that there are certain cellular herbs that help neuropathy. And for some reason, I'm getting blocked. But I'm going to make sure.
That sounds like a complicated one right there. It's in
Yeah.
itself, so being heard it is you have a salt that will help with neuropathy, but it would endanger your diabetic state and your low salt state.
Yes.
It would sound like even though to it in your body, so yeah.
That's one. You know what, the reason why I say that, because I'm in the middle of working with someone right now who has, their neighbors use Roundup, which we know is toxic, and they're still selling it. Crazy.
Yeah.
And it's, when they do it, it affects not just them, but it affects the whole block, the whole neighborhood.
Right.
And it's that, and so they're dealing with neuropathy, inflammation, and right on down the line. So when they, my recommend for them, and other people didn't know it. And so what was going on, because people around the area began to deal with their nerves and their inflammation and pain and all that, and they didn't realize that the person was using it, and they were told, without giving anybody's business, I'm not giving your business out, I'm just saying. And the person was told that you can't spray that. And this colonizer said, well, I know what I'm going to do. And so with that, they have to detox their bodies on a consistent basis. So when they go outside or they go out to do work in their yard, whatever, they have to come back in and they bathe on a consistent basis, put about a cup and a half to 2 cups of Epsom salt in their backyard. And along with a little baking soda, a little vinegar, whatever. And then they put a little dead sea salt. Dead sea salt. It's not just sea salt, it's dead sea salt. The kind that you get from what they call the Middle East, actually Africa, where the Dead Sea, they get it from the Dead Sea minerals. And they order it straight from there. So they work with that, and then other things that they pull that stuff out of their body, but just as well as they're pulling it out, they have to put certain minerals back in their bodies. So, and like we said before, it's that bath that does it, that helps. So let me get back with you, and I'll make sure I do get back with you and give you that information. So family, and you know what? It's true, yeah. We have that type of thing. But let me say this to you. And I was looking before I go here. These type of things actually boost the heart health. The peels of the pomelo rind helps the heart of the young lady that was asking about her mom and she had issues with her heart. So it helps the heart as well and boosts the heart health. So you'll know about that. So I want to say this. Ooh, what time is it? 3 o'clock?
It's if we get there, get about a half hour away.
Woo!
2:38.
2:38. Okay. So be aware of those type of things, fam. So remember, and then keep in mind as we meditate on the word, it's the more you alkaline your body, keep your body, and keep in mind the certain parts of the body has a certain amount of alkaline. Your skin has alkaline. Your blood has a certain alkalinity, or acidity, or alkalinity. Your heart has a certain amount of alkalinity in order to pump all what it needs to pump the toxins and be healthy. your different parts of your body has certain types of alkalinity in your body. So we have to make sure that we have that. And remember what we said, our digestive and our blood has to be at least 7 point, some say 7.45 and some say 7.5. No more than 7.5. And so therefore, keeping the body healthy, keeping it more healed, keeping it oxygen in your body. Remember we talked about blessed thistle. Blessed thistle keeps the oxygen in the brain. It's one of those type of oxygen. We want to make sure, and there's an herb called it's PABA, P-A-B-A, for those that are dealing with certain issues in the brain. And there's a young man, and we know, and he says that he has certain things going on with his brain. P-A-B-A, PABA would help, blessed thistle helps, rosemary helps. There's some different oils I'm going to put on, and I'll remember to put on out there so that you guys can, that help with the boost, the brain function. Black seed oil helps, my brother. Black seed helps with the brain function, circulation, and right on down the line. And things of that nature. But we're going to talk about that too. And I'll put it, like I said, I'll make sure Brother Sunday's going to help me post those things that are good to put in there until we get other things ready. And so just some different things like that we want to let you know and be aware of. Now, when you're doing these fruit, family, citrus is one of those, some people say they're alkaline. Some people say there is too much acid, but it's really not when it hits the bloodstream. So you want to make sure that you have these things. Also, for the lady who asked me about the coughs and all that at night, if you give them, I almost forgot. You can take the peels, and here I go with the herbal side. You all say EMA. This is the herbal side, the homeopathic side. You can take the peel of it and dry it out. The peels of those, make sure they're some say organic, but make sure that they're the real thing without toxins. And pray over it, because every time we eat, put anything in our mouth, we're going to pray over it. And keep this in mind, family. If you pray over the food that you're about to eat, and whether it's processed foods or whether it's correct food, if you pray over it, I'm sure your conscience in the back of your spirit man will tell you, like, we're not going to answer the prayer because those who tell you shit. You're going to say you're going to pray over your food and you're eating some stuff that you're not supposed to be eating, like candy, potato chips, cookies, pies, and you're going to pray over that. And I know in the back of your mind and your spirit man is going to say, now, I know I'm not going to add to your prayer, make you eat this, allow you to eat this stuff, and it's not going to affect you some kind of negative way. So before you pray over your food, Father, bless this food for the nourishment of my body. That's not nourishment. I told you I was your 18 mama today. Don't pray over, and you're going to eat this pie, you're going to eat this cake, you're going to eat this candy, and God bless this food for the nourishment of my body. It's just like eating pork, and you're going to pray over it.
Well, once one of the dietary laws was not in that way. Neither one in the dietary law.
Not one in the dietary law.
One is specified, the other isn't.
Well, I agree.
One is specified, not being involved.
Check this out. Do you know what kind of oil is that they use to make that cookie? Lard. To make the cookie. What kind of oil do they use? Do they use lard?
Yeah. What do they make at home?
If they make it at home, what kind of herbal stuff that you do to make those cookies?
You're right. But I'm just saying, there's a way around.
There's a way around. You can make some. You can make some cookies out of just the oatmeal that doesn't have the flour and all that, the non-gluten oatmeal.
Right, exactly.
You can put a little maple syrup, which is one better than some. You can use your raisins, your dates, and with that, and you can put some flaxseed, make it with a flaxseed instead of egg, because you know your flaxseed is going to be a gluten. If you put put 2 or 3 tablespoons in there, and put a little bit of water, like about a third of a cup, and it will turn out to be the same consistency as 2 eggs. And you can mix that in, and you can make your own cookies. So if you do it that way, and you know what? I'm gonna tell you this. I made some cookies one day. My husband loves those. I can't make it anymore. And that's the way I made it. I made them with the non-gluten oatmeal. But first, we were a while back. I'm telling you all about my faults. A while back, we were eating the the gluten oatmeal. And with all of it, it was really good. It was really good. But my body was saying, no, my body, it was the inflammation. And inflammation is what causes arthritis. But anyway, so I was using it. And so it was good. And everybody that came through, they were eating these cookies up to no end. And come to find out, I was like, something's wrong. And it was a gluten. I can't do this. So when I went to the non-gluten, my heart was saying, oh, this is better. My lungs, my internal organs were saying, oh, okay, we got it. Because we got raisins in it, we have the dates in it, we have walnuts in it, we've got flaxseed in it, and all of these things in maple syrup, and it was just really wonderful. But we can't make too much of that. But it was wonderful. And yes, you can, you're right, you can make it like that. Now, you made it like that? Yes. The other way, like my auntie said, I'm going to tell you, I won't tell you, Mom. My babies keep an eye on your mama's your aunties and your grandmamas that feed you this stuff come weekend now, and no, we're not going back. So when you detox your bodies, don't go back. When you clean your body, don't go back. Don't put the toxins. And when those people that are smoking around you, tell them, I love you, you gotta go. Secondhand smoke. But anyway, so the next thing I just want to tell you all, this has been fun today. This has been one of those learning processes, and I'm so glad that you came. If it wasn't for you, I would not be here. If you like this class and want to hear more about next week, do a thumbs up. Do a, what is it? Thumbs up and what is it? What is it? Okay. And save it and share it. Let the family know. Oh, before I go, let me tell you this. I was going to finish telling you about this last little thing with the pomelo peel. Once you peel the pomelo, pull the flesh off of it, you can cut it and you can dry it. Put it in the oven at 200 and let it dry to a crisp. When it's dry to a crisp, you can break it up. And let me tell you, you can break it up and it looks like a potato chip. Once you dry it, it's going to be the same consistency as a potato chip. Because you're going to peel it, and you're going to pull it back, and you're going to let it dry. Once you dry it, you can put it in, make a little smoothie out of it. And put a little lemon or lime. I prefer lime, I prefer lime because it's more alkalinity with the lime. You can put that in there, and you add a little coconut milk, a little hemp milk, a little cashew milk, plant-based milk, and you can make them like a little smoothie and put some ice and some plantains in it. And make them a little smoothie, a little refreshing smoothie. And they would love you for that even more. So, that's just one of the ways you can do it. And then you can put it in a jar with the blood that you have left over. Put it in a jar and put it in your cabinet. So when you're ready, you can take this and you can use it for your body. Remember, if you're going to detoxify, if you're going to fast, I'm going to put some herbs in the post, so when you're fasting, that'll help you for the next days, and that you look for that every day. So this is your EMA. who thinks you're wonderful. And you know what? And I had to be the auntie mama today. And I had to be your grandma and your great-grandma who told you, don't eat that stuff. This is bad. When you're fasting, remember, water, water, water. Alkaline, cucumbers, parsley, limes. You can, if those that don't want to do your baking soda, you can go that way. Or you can do both and during the day. Don't forget your apple cider vinegar. During the day, sip on your little apple cider vinegar, put a little bit of honey in it, and with your apple cider vinegar, and some grapefruit. Ladies, that is, and put some ice to it. Oh, come on, wonderful. I heard somebody say, recipe, recipe, recipe. Okay, 1 tablespoon of apple cider vinegar, and then you can put a half of grapefruit, squeeze the grapefruit in there, and put about honey in there to taste. Simple and easy. And you can put the rest with water. If you're doing 4 ounces, do up to 4 ounces and the rest distilled water in there. And you can get it. That's alkaline. Your EMA thinks you're wonderful. And I'm sorry I had to be your auntie mama today. It was a pleasingly plump pleasure to be here for you. And I thank you for allowing me to come into your heart. Thank you for loving me enough to come into your heart. Your EMA thinks you're wonderful. Blessings on your day. Psalms 91, all around about you is about a shield. Play this over and over and share with others that it's time to let the processed foods be not part of your diet plan. Keep the toxins out of your body as much as possible and keep your alkaline going. I love you. Blessings on your day. Am I on?